Hey guys, hey, good morning. Good morning. Guess what we did today? Guess what happened at my house today? We went to school. Yes, we did. We've been to school one day, well, before today, in the last 3 weeks, and today we went to school. And you know what I did? I drove my daughter to the bus stop and I put her on the bus and I got out for a while, which I have not done either in what feels like weeks. I know it hasn't been weeks, but it feels like it. And I went and I picked up some Marketplace shirts. I buy all my shirts, most of my clothes from Marketplace or thrift stores. And I love that I can get a lot of cheap shirts. Hey, Kendra, good morning. Because, hey, Christina, how are you, sweetheart? Because I feel like I wear the same thing in front of you guys all the time. So, hi, Dana. If I get a shirt for $1 and I wear it once and I donate it back, I don't feel bad. So I picked up some shirts and I went to the grocery store. That's what I did. Good morning, Diane. So I just got back in and I got things unloaded. Hi, Mary. And I got stuff for supper tonight. We're going to have Jenna, hey, Sydney, and Vinny, and Adeline. And then we're going to have Jordan and Lauren and our regular crew. So Adeline will be here about 11 to hang out with me. And then everybody else will join. So I'm going to put some supper on. I thought you might want to hang out with me while I did that. Before we start the supper, though, I want to show you the paper that we did yesterday. Oh, Christina, I hope not. I hope not, sister. The paper that we did yesterday onto the freezer paper. I want to show it to you. I'm hoping to come back on live a little bit later this afternoon, depending on Adeline, and we'll make some things with it. But if we don't even get to do that, I want you to see it. I don't know whether we start with the most exciting or just work our way through the pile, but I brought them over here. Good morning, Karina. Good morning to you. Hey, Renee, it's good to see you. So the only one that I worked on after we were together was the cover, and it is sweet, and I'm excited about it. But after it's all cool and stable, if you remember yesterday, and you can go back and watch that. I know, and they won't hardly give you a test anymore, Christina. So, and their treatment's no different, unless you can get like the Paxlovid, one of the quick treatments. So this is just the pattern tissue. Good morning, Miss Betty. And it's all cool. It's adhered, but I want you to see, I could separate it if I really tried to. I think it's probably more so on the edges. I think it's just where I didn't get it quite as hot. Hey, Capri. So I love the look of this. It gives us like a heavy weight. I think you could just directly make a tag with this and you'd be good to go because it's got the firmness of the paper. And like I said, you can glue anything you want to. So there's our pattern tissue. I think that came out. I'm pleased. I would use that. Here's the instruction page that we did. Good morning, Judy. That we put on. Same thing. I think if we really, really tried, we could separate this. Hi, Anne Marie. I do also think if my iron was hotter, it would have worked better for us. So it did. I will say that even if you peeled this white back off, it did leave some residue on the back, which gives the paper more stiffness than it had before. So I would say with this paper, since it's heavier, when I use it, if I were going to use it, when we use it. Hey, Regina, good morning to you. I think we would cut like tags or pockets or whatever we're going to do, and I would probably run it around my sewing machine just for a sense of security. It's stuck, but we could separate it if we tried. But this was, like you remember, this was the instructional paper, so it was heavier than the tissue. Here's our super old, fragile 1904 newspaper sheet. And I'm afraid to try to peel this off because honestly, this paper was so incredibly fragile. Anytime you touch it, it just cracks apart in your hands. Hey, Miss Ruth, I did too. But I want to show you, I don't know if I can get up. Yeah. See the corner? It has just a little hair that would want to come up, but just below that, it's stuck. Like I'm touching it and I'm not able to pull it apart. I think we could use this as is when we cut it. We might want to You know, you can Mod Podge over the top. Good morning, Carol. Or anything that you wanted to do. I think this would hold just like this. But like I said, if you're going to have a bunch of edges that might get wear and tear, you know, some elements we make for our projects, they get tugged on. And if that was going to happen, I think I would either sew it or Mod Podge it or maybe glue it. But I love how we took this incredibly fragile paper and we were able to turn it into something that we can use. If you weren't here, I have an entire year's, well, I don't know, I have a book about this thick of every copy of this 1904, every edition of the 1904 Farmer and Stockman paper. I know, Capri, I do too, and I hate that I picked one. This has another piece of paper stuck to it. I'm going to go through and find some that just have this, and I'm going to toughen them up a little bit because I want to use that graphic. That graphic is stunning. Okay, and then we have our napkins, and these really did well. They're stuck. They're stuck to the freezer paper, and now we have a workable napkin. I mean, this is a book cover. I think it would just make a beautiful, hey Jennifer, a beautiful book cover, or in anything you wanted to use it on. Oh, the oven's hot. And then our favorite napkin here. And it really did, it's stuck. It's all adhered. So super excited. Now let me show you. Are you ready for the cover? Are you ready for the little envelope from the pattern? Here it is. Look at this. Look at this. Sorry, I'm looking to see what you wrote. You're in Michigan, still cold and snow? Yeah, that's right. Get some freezer paper and play with it. This turned out really nice, you guys. It is pliable. It doesn't want to crack. I love this. I did go around it just with my sewing machine, just a straight stitch. I wanted to catch these where we folded it over. This is what the inside looks like, right? So the book would be like this on the cover, and then this would be our interior. I'm really pleased with this one. And honestly, if we were gonna turn the napkin or anything else that we made into a journal cover, I would do the same thing. I would get some coordinating fabric and just Fabri-Tac that coordinating fabric on there, okay? So our little lilac napkin here that I just love. If I were turning it into a journal cover, I would cut this out. I would get a piece of coordinating fabric that I liked, and I would glue it all over here. And then I would just, when it was dry, I would stitch around the edges. And then I think this is cool. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. We would embellish a little bit, you know, and do a little bit of decorating on here, but this feels really good. So I am super excited about that. Okay, dinner tonight is going to be pulled pork. You know why? Because it was on sale. I don't know what you guys eat at your house, but at the Parish House, we eat whatever's on sale. That's what the menu is. And I'm telling you what, pork has been incredibly affordable in my area all year. Like, we couldn't afford bacon a year ago, and now bacon is one of the most affordable choices. But I went to my Price Chopper today, and I got this. Hi, Judy, how are you? This is a 2-pack pork butt roast, $1.29 a pound. I could get a package that just had one, but then it was $1.79 a pound, and I'm too cheap for that, I guess. I couldn't spend the extra 50 cents a pound. And this pulled pork, I don't know, do y'all pulled pork? I thought everybody did pulled pork, but I guess not. But we do pulled pork in my area, and it is a standard staple. Hey, Wendy. And we make a ton of things from it, and I may have done it with you guys before. Hey, Debbie Fritz, but this is what's for dinner, and I need to get it in the oven. So this is what I do. For pulled pork, I don't trim. Now, this is not bad. We have just a little bit of a fat layer here on top, but not so much that it's going to ruin everything. You love it? You love it too? Oh, good, Regina. I did not realize my sister lived in North Carolina, and she came down one year when the kids were having graduation parties, and I had this huge 18-quart Nesco full of pork butts to make pulled pork, and she didn't. I said, you want to pull pork for me? And she said, sure. She had never pulled pork before. I don't know, how'd she miss it? So let me show you what I do. You know, I don't do anything fancy or anything that you cannot replicate in your own house. I just don't. This is real life cooking. This is what we eat. I'm not a TV host or whatever. I like a disposable pan for this, mainly because I like the depth. But any roasting pan that'll go in your oven, but you want something with some height. They do create some juice, and if your foil leaks, you would much rather have it in here than have it in there. So this is just a standard cheapo aluminum pan. I'm sorry I have to move the aluminum foil. I did tear it, but man, it is loud, and so I apologize. And I'm just gonna push one time my foil right into my pan. I did too. I thought it was totally a normal thing in North Carolina. I don't know. She was raised in St. Louis like I was. Yeah, I don't know. I could not believe it. She was also one of the world's best hostesses ever. Like, she forever had people in her home. I thought, how do you not do pulled pork? Hey, Dale, how are you? I missed our phone call this morning, and I was sad. I kept waiting, and then I missed it. So I've just got my 2-pack here, and all I'm going to do is cut the 2-pack open. So I'm over here off camera a second. Just putting a slice in the wrapper. I don't rinse mine or any of those things. Now that's up to you. You do whatever makes you feel best. I don't. I just don't. And so there you go. All right. So I just took my package and I cut it right in half, and the pork is right in there, and I'm just putting it in my pan. And you're in North Carolina, Renee. See? Now, I will say I'm not a fan of like North Carolina style barbecue. Like the vinegary stuff is not my favorite. But I don't know. I found it totally shocking. Totally shocking. Okay, so here is my one pork roast in my pan. I don't know why I was so careful to keep my hands clean, because you know you got to get your hands in everything. I really, really like garlic, so I'm going to add extra garlic here, and I'm just going to put a nice sprinkle. I'm going to do the same thing to both sides, okay? I get this seasoning at a local seasoning market, and it's just, I'll show it to you. I'm sorry it's backwards. I keep forgetting. It's an all-purpose meat and veggie seasoning, and it comes from this little spice company. And it's right down in my area in the city markets in Kansas City. And I love this stuff. I don't even know what to tell you. I just love it. It's not everything bagel. It's got a different variety. I've got about a tablespoon of it, and I'm just gonna sprinkle that. And then I have this pork barrel barbecue all-purpose rub. And honestly, I bought some rub mix at this same spice, and I just mixed it together. I am not brand specific. I'll tell you how I pick my rub. I want a red one. There you go. And I will go to Sam's Club or wherever they sell spices, and I'll get whatever their basic rub spice is, as long as it's reddish. I don't know. Do you guys ever wonder? Do you ever wonder? Like, sometimes I ask myself, like, how do you even get that? Okay. And I'm just going to give it a slight pat and roll it over. Okay. And now I'm gross. So let me rinse because I can't stand it. I'm going to be rinsing a lot by the time I get the 4 of these in the oven, aren't I? There you go. Okay, same thing, same order. A little garlic. Sprinkle on it. About a tablespoon of this all-purpose mix. You could use a seasoning salt. Hello, Michelle. How are you? You can use whatever. You could use everything bagel seasoning if that's what you have. Anytime I get a spice blend, I always pick it by smell. So this smells good to me. And then a nice generous sprinkle of our all-purpose rub, okay? And now I'm gonna flip it back over, because you always wanna cook meats with the fattest side up, because it'll dry out. Meat always wants to dry out in your oven. And this way, as the fat kind of melts and cooks in my oven for, what, Debbie Fritz? For, what'd I say? I don't know. I missed something. This lets the fat cook back in through the meat. So you know when you make your turkey at Thanksgiving and it always shows, you know, the breast side up with the beautiful brown breast. Now that is the way to get the most beautiful turkey. But the best flavored turkey is going to happen when you turn that little sucker upside down and you put the fat meat, the thighs and the legs and all of that, and the back were all of the, roast 4. Well, 2 roasts, 2 pans today. And then let all of that fat, as that turkey cooks, cook down through the breast meat. That's where your best flavor is. It's not the prettiest turkey, but it is the most delicious turkey. And that's what you always want to do. So I've got, when I cook a brisket, the fat side always cooks up. Whatever meat it is, fat to the top. Okay? And then that soaks in. And then we just need to seal this up. I'm going to cook it low and slow. So my oven is on 325, which is not crazy low. And I am going to put this in my oven. Me too, Capri. Me too. I've been known, when I had a big crowd coming for Thanksgiving, to cook an extra like turkey breast to put on top for appearance wise, but all of the meat that I had already cut up and come off the bone, that was cooked upside down. Yeah, so I'd have one for looks. No, this is just our family, but it's a party when they're all here, right? Okay, and so I'm just rolling that in. Now you can see it's in its nice foil packet inside my pan, and that's how it's going to go in the oven. I will not touch this, not even once, until it's been in the oven 6 hours. Sealed in foil, fat side up in a below 325, so 325 or below oven. It's just not gonna ruin. And the longer it cooks, the softer it gets. So it'll be done, it'll be cooked through in, hey, good morning, in 4.5, 5 hours by temperature. But if I let it go 6 to 7 to 8 hours, it's gonna just fall apart. If I take it out as soon as it's done, I really literally have to pull it apart. It's still hanging on. And I want it to have totally given up. When I go to get it out of the oven, I want it to just come apart. You will know when it's done. Thermometer first. I always stick a meat thermometer right through the foil and take its little temperature. Beyond that, the first time I open it, I want to see the bone loose. Okay? When it's really good for pulled pork, the bone is completely, you just pluck it out. It's not attached to the meat anymore at all. And that's kind of how I know it's ready for my style of pulled pork. All right, let me slide this one in. Let's get the other one going. I always got to move the rack, and I always forget. Well, I don't always have to move the oven rack, but every time I cook something different, I have to move the oven rack. Okay. Also, in these aluminum pans, they will fit side by side in my oven. Hey, Veronica, how are you doing today? I'm glad to see you're up and watching. I'm glad to see you're up and watching. All right, so we're just going to repeat with the other one. Grab the foil, get the terrible ruckus over at once, and move on. This one is smaller. That's okay, I don't care. Yeah, well, Debbie, I will tell you, this was two in a package. It was a double pack, and all together, it's 17 pounds of meat. just a minor 17 pounds. So the single roasts at my store, you know, were 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds, or you could just get 2 and it was 50 cents a pound cheaper. And pulled pork freezes really well even after it's cooked. Hey, Pamela, how are you? So what we don't eat and what we get sick of, and it happens to everybody, I will bag it in a Ziploc bag with a little, I try to keep the juices that cook with it for a while, and I put a little bit of that over there. If I don't have any leftover pan juices, then I'll just put a little chicken broth on it. And then I freeze it in a Ziploc bag. Squeeze out all the air you can. But And this will be fully cooked in your freezer for months and still be great, especially if you're careful enough to get as much air out as possible. All right, I'm gonna rinse my hands again, which is silly because I'm turning right around and doing it again. I don't like it. Yeah, in Ziploc bags. And then it's really manageable from there, right? Totally manageable. Okay. And if you'll flatten out your Ziploc bag, so I fill my Ziploc bags with whatever's going in the freezer, and then after I get the air out, then I flatten them as flat as I can. And two purposes: they fit in my freezer much easier and don't make such a mess. And second of all, they thaw much faster if they're flat. So I do that when I freeze, uncooked hamburger or cooked hamburger or pulled pork or whatever. Get it in the Ziploc bag, get as much air out as you can, and then flatten it out as flat as you will. Yep. I don't usually have my husband here to help me put it in bags, so I just do the best I can, but you can watch it. You flatten everything. It does make your freezer space much more efficient. Okay, now we're just going to roll this one up. Again, I'm sorry about the noise. Foil is terrible. I want to make sure that I get the bottom piece, if you can even see it. I want to make sure I get this bottom piece of foil up and tucked over, because that's the whole purpose of this, is we want our meat sealed in our foil in our pan. So make sure that you get the bottom. No, Crafters in the Kitchen is on the 30th this month, and it's healthy food. We won't be making pulled pork on Crafters in the Kitchen. So there we go. Second one is going in the oven, and then the other thing that my store had on sale today was fresh broccoli and fresh cauliflower. So that's what we're having with it. So I'm going to throw that in the oven. Roasted is my very favorite way to have any vegetable. I really have fallen in love with them. And I find that we will eat them in so much. We eat so many more vegetables, a better variety, and more of them if I roast them in the oven. And I have roasted veggies for you several times. Normally, I would put them in a gigantic Ziploc bag. I get them at the Dollar Tree. They come like 5 in a package. They're 2.5 gallon size. I'm totally out of them. So this is an oven bag. This is not ideal for this purpose, but it is totally useful. And I need to get my veggies chopped. I go ahead and put the oil and seasoning on them, and then I put them in the refrigerator, and they will be in the refrigerator all day while the pork cooks. And then I'm gonna fry us up some French fries. So as the pork is settling and waiting to be pulled, I'll put the veggies in the oven and fry the fries. And I'm gonna make a Caesar salad kit too. So that's the whole meal plan. Oh, and I bought cookies, because I hadn't eaten breakfast when I went to the grocery store. So let's get our broccoli and cauliflower. Now, since I did all of my meat work in a pan, my board is perfectly safe and fine. So I'm just gonna go on. So at my grocery store today, these big bundles of broccoli were $1.99. And I got 2 of those. Roasted broccoli and cauliflower is another ingredient that if I roast it up, I roast up a lot, because it's so usable in other things. So I'm still feeding folks, kids and that kind of thing sometimes, and they like macaroni and cheese, right? So if I'm going to make macaroni and cheese later this week, I can put this broccoli in it. Hi, Diane. And a lot of times I'll take the roasted broccoli and cauliflower, I'll put it in my food processor. This is confessions of a mother, isn't it? And I will grind it down to where they can't pick it out. And then I mix it in with whatever unhealthy, delicious thing we're having. It is a good price. And the heads of cauliflower were pretty stinking nice too at $1.99. So I make a lot. If I'm gonna make it and heat up the oven, the prep is not really very much different. I will I'll make a lot. But you don't have to. You do whatever your family will eat and use. And it was packaged. I get double rubber bands. I love these rubber bands. These are some of the best rubber bands to use for different things. So that's just another treat for today. So we get some good rubber bands. So preparing your vegetables for roasting. I watched the guy put these out today. They were freshly packaged. There is no visible dirt of any kind or anything. So I'm going straight in. I would never do that with celery. I swear, hey Lucille, the last head of celery I got, I could have planted crops in it. It had so much dirt in that. So for roasting, I just cut the heads off. Just like that. I don't know about you guys. I know me too, Gail. I'm like, yes, the good rubber bands. Broccoli stalk is delicious. I don't know, do you guys, thanks Renee, I don't know if you guys use it or not. If you ever make stir fry, this is one of the most delicious ingredients in a stir fry. Did you know that? I threw them away for years, and then somebody told me that. And you just take off the dry end and slice it really thin. You can quarter it or half it if you want to. It is delicious. I mean delicious in stir fry. So I hang on to those until I lose them in the fridge, have to throw them away. I mean, let's just be honest. Sometimes I remember that I have broccoli stems in the fridge. Sometimes I don't. But they are so good. So good. And sometimes in your stir fries, the broccoli gets a little, and the broccoli stem doesn't. It's kind of like what is that thing? Oh, I bet it would be a delicious, just a raw snack. Oh my gosh, water chestnuts. If you like water chestnuts, the texture is kind of the same. So my broccoli will cook a little bit faster than my cauliflower in the oven. So I leave my broccoli in a little bit bigger pieces. So I leave it a little bit bigger, and I'll cut my cauliflower a little bit smaller, and it all should cook in about the same amount of time. Give or take, we'll eat it anyway. So yeah, so keep your broccoli stems. They're delicious. They are delicious. And a totally, it's something we just absolutely throw away. This is the heaviest part. Like, this doesn't weigh anything. I paid way more for this than I paid for the little broccoli heads here. The trees, as we used to call it. I love water chestnuts. I just really like having a little bit of a crunch in things. And water chestnuts or the broccoli stem can take, a stir fry that can get a little soft in there. Patsy, we just put some pulled pork in the oven to get started. It's going to cook for 6 to 8 hours today. And now I'm just cutting up some fresh broccoli and cauliflower, and we're going to put oil and seasoning on that, and it's going to go in my oven later on to roast. So Miss Adeline will be here about 11 o'clock this morning, my time. And so I don't want to be tied up in here too awful long with her here. So I'll get all of my dinner work prepped while it's quieter this morning. And then I don't get too stressed out. Oh, Christina, we roast all kinds of things. I love to do a mixed potato roast. Normally that's just sweet potatoes and white potatoes mixed together and roasted, all of them cubed up. Delicious. These broccoli stems will also roast up really well. Yeah, I'll show you my stir fry someday, you bet. Maybe I need to put it on the menu for later this week since I'll have the broccoli stems in there and I'll remember them. You can also roast these right along with your broccoli. Do the same thing. Just slice them up, cube them up, however you want to do, and toss them right in with your roasted vegetables. They're very good that way too. Very, very good. And we have a lot, so, we have a lot of broccoli stem. And I just hate to waste food. I just hate it. I don't know about you guys, but I just hate to waste food. All right, so we'll get these in here, and then we'll tear into the cauliflower. And this is how it's just looking here in the bag. Yeah, Miss Chris, we are cooking today. We just put 2 pork roasts in the oven to make pulled pork out of. We got those seasoned and in there. And now we're getting some broccoli and cauliflower ready to roast. Shred the stems and make a broccoli salad. Oh, that sounds delicious too. See, we're learning. I love broccoli salad. You guys like that? And one little lady at our church used to make a broccoli cauliflower salad, and it's one of my very favorites. It's a cold salad, but oh, so good. Okay, so our broccoli, I'll show you about how big the chunks are. They're decent size. Food is way too expensive to waste. You are right, Renee. I tell you. And you go, my husband loves to grocery shop. I mean, loves to grocery shop. He does Instacart for fun. He likes to grocery shop so much. So he does 90% of our grocery shopping. And the only time I do our grocery shopping is when I want something special. Hello, good morning to you. Or if I'm just out feeling like I want to. And I'm sure we had lots of pork roasts in the freezer, but I want it today and it's frozen. So I would be the person who went grocery shopping every day if it was me. My husband I have my own grocery store here. I have a fully stocked pantry. Any kind of meat we regularly use, there's at least 3 of them over in deep freezes beyond what we have here in the house. And that's his style. And my style would be every day, whatever hit my fancy, I would just go get it then. Okay, so if your cauliflower is flexible at all, you can pretty much take the whole thing off in one chunk. I don't have a good use for that, so I don't know. Your husband does the shopping? My husband just loves it. Back in the day when there were paper coupons, he couldn't wait to get the Sunday paper to check those coupons for the week to see what we could use that had a coupon on it. Now he has all the apps and all that kind of stuff, and he will do our grocery shopping and shop at 6 different stores to go get the best deal at each and every store. I'll tell you the truth. I picked up my marketplace and I put grocery store in the GPS and it said Price Chopper was closest, and I was like, sold. I don't care. I don't care what brand the store is. I don't even care what the sale ad says 90% of the time. I went in and I went to the meat department and these pork butts were on sale for $1.29. I'm like, that's what we're eating. So there you go. I'm just not that good of a plan. Not that good of a planner, I guess. I used to do a weekly menu and that worked way better. I will confess it worked way, way better because he knew what I needed on what days and he would buy it. And then I wasn't doing the, go to the store every day and get whatever. Now, I don't go to the store every day. Most of the time I cook out of our storehouse here. But today I was out and it felt like something fun to do. I don't know. So I did. And I don't usually go to the store with a big list or menu. When I go, it's like today. I knew we would have extra kids tonight. I knew I would want to cook a decent meal for everybody. I knew I hadn't pulled anything out of the freezer yet. And so I stopped by the store and get whatever's on sale. Whatever's on sale. Because I am so, we'll call it thrifty. I won't even hardly shop full price items at the thrift store anymore. Most of my thrift stores, they got the colored tags that a certain color is 50% off every week. So I'll shop those first, and then some of ours around here have clearance sections, believe it or not. And one of them has clothing racks in the back that are $1 for any piece of clothing on there. And so now I can't hardly shop the regular rows at the thrift store where I might, pay $5. I'll just see if it happens to show up on the clearance rack. That's so funny. When my husband and I were newly married and he was a school teacher and I had my cancer, so I wasn't working at all for a long time, and we were not in a financial position at the time to be a one-income household, especially one. Oh yeah, I love a good broccoli soup. I have to put that on the list. Let me tell you something, guys. If you have something that you would like to learn about cooking or that you would like for me to make, please, please, please send me a message. I do the same thing everybody else does. I get in kind of a rut making the same thing over and over and over again. So I would love the inspiration, and I'd be more than happy to do that. So if there's something that you really love, or if there's something you would really like to have a good recipe that is not, none of my recipes are expensive. Well, I mean, you know, more expensive than food. And none of them are hard. I'm an everyday cook, you know, so no restaurant is going to come and try to get my recipes. This is just, I cook like your grandma. I'm out of time and I'm out of money. And so that's how we do it. But I would love that. So I don't always remember if it's here in a comment, but if you send me a message, I will make a note. And I also really, really, really want to do more lives here in the kitchen. I love it. And I cook every day. Why? Because I think by the time I get around to dinner, I'm just like, let's get her done. But those ideas would help. Yes. And I think I read one time that the average family eats 10 different menu items at a time. And I know that's about true for us. We'll eat about the 10 same things for a while until we're like, I cannot eat tacos one more day. Tacos have been delicious for the last 3 or 4 months, right? But all of a sudden we're done with tacos. And then we move them off the menu and we put something else on the menu, and we rotate about the same 10 things. Even though, I mean, I know how to cook probably way over 100 things, but I cook the same things all the time. Yes, you have to be. We had to be so frugal. So frugal. So I'm going back to when my husband and I were newlyweds, and like I got my leg cancer. We've been married 6 months. So I was an equal wage earner who was all of a sudden disabled and very much unable to do hardly anything for almost 2 years until we got this thing kind of stabilized again. And so we literally lived on whatever was cheapest, you know, whatever was on the best sale that week, whatever. We just did not have money for food. And in the school district where he was teaching, once I could get around a little bit again, I would go in and volunteer in the in-school suspension room because, one, I'm a social worker, and two, they didn't go anywhere. They were just stuck in this little room all day. And I could wheelchair through this big old high school into that room. And so it was manageable for me, and they were allowed to have volunteers in there. But through that, I met a couple of other teachers that my husband taught with. Sweet, sweet ladies that became such good friends. We had chicken and noodles last night. Just last night. It was so good. So anyway, we made friends with these ladies, and they would invite us over, you know, for dinner. One lady had an empty nest, and the other lady had a couple of teenagers at home. So, you know, their life station was different than ours. But I remember, okay, look at this gigantic bag of vegetables that we have here. Do you see this? This is an oven roasting bag for a turkey. That's what this is. So I have about as much bulk in vegetables as I would have if I had a turkey in the night. And I went shopping with her. Her name was Carol. She was so kind. And we were in the grocery store, and I was walking with her in the grocery store, and she just picked up off the shelf what she wanted. She didn't look at the sale paper. Like, she was walking down, she's like, oh, patio steak sounds good. And she just grabs as many patio steaks off the shelf as she felt like and threw them in the cart. And when we went down, you know, if I needed green beans, I had to compare the price of every can of green beans so I could buy the cheapest can of green beans. Heck no. If she wanted green beans and she thought Del Monte were the most delicious, that's what she just got off the cabinet, off the shelf. And she just put them in her cart and went on like nothing had happened. And I remember thinking to myself that day, as a family that was struggling, that I would know I had made it financially when I could go to the store and just buy what I wanted to eat. And I didn't have to think about the price. Now, it turns out I'm too cheap to do that anyway. Probably, no, we couldn't, not with the price of certain things that we might want. But we're in a much better place now than we were back then. I'm gonna put about 1/3 cup of oil in these vegetables, okay? You need all of your pieces of veggie, whatever you're roasting. And about any kind of vegetable roast. Carrots are delicious, potatoes are amazing, and Brussels sprouts. If you have never been a fan of Brussels sprouts, roast you some up. They are so good, okay? And you just need to kind of roll that oil around a little bit. If you're just going straight to the oven, just throw all of it on your baking sheet and give it a toss. And this is such a full bag, I can't get it all tossed around. So I'm gonna work on it a little bit. Anyway, I don't think we ever got there. I don't think we ever got to the point where we could just say, hey, I feel like lobster tails, and just walk into the store and buy lobster tails, at least without thinking about it too much. But I always thought that would be the measure of true financial freedom, if you could do that, right? But man, I was so impressed. And I said, Carol, here's some that's on sale right over here. And she said, so? I never heard anybody say that. I never heard anybody say, I don't care if there's one on sale over there. Okay, so whether I'm having these vegetables with pulled pork or a barbecue flavored meal or any other kind of meal, it always gets a good dose of my all-purpose barbecue rub seasoning. It's what I like on my roasted veggies. I like it to smell a little bit smoky. I like to get the paprika smell. You know what a good rub smells like. I smell a hint, I'm not great at this, you guys, of maybe some sugar. A little bit of brown sugar is normally in a rub. It has the salt, the pepper, the garlic, all that stuff. And I give it a good generous, I would call it a Chris Hunter zhuzh, but that's not what it is. Oh, yes. And then I'm just going to disperse that again. So in this, balsamic is delicious to me. It is. This is the basic way that you could roast any vegetable, and then you can do anything with these when they're done. You can sauce them any way you want to. Like I said, my leftovers go in the fridge, and if they don't get eaten as a leftover in the next couple of days, I will grind them down till they look like cauliflower rice and little broccoli bits, and then they're going to go into whatever else I make. They can go into a soup. They make a beautiful silky soup base, especially once they're ground down if you like a smooth veggie soup. They are absolutely delicious mixed in like macaroni and cheese or any of those cheesy. If you're trying to be a little bit more healthy, put a few potatoes in there, and your potatoes au gratin or however you like them, scalloped, and then put a whole bunch of this stuff in there. You really won't taste it, but it's just delicious. It's just delicious. And you've added all of these vegetables. Now, you may not have to hide the veggies in your house, but if you do, or, you know, sometimes I just want to hide the veggies from myself, because I would rather eat scalloped potatoes or potatoes au gratin than maybe fresh vegetables. So if I can combine the two and convince myself that that's it. I know, right? It was so true for me then and that day, and it still is. And I still can't, like I said, we wouldn't go bankrupt if I decided we were going to eat better or more expensive food. Pam, I normally would go to the Dollar Tree, and I keep the 2.5 gallon size Ziploc bags at home. They come like 5 in a package at Dollar Tree. And I use them just when I have a big old bunch of stuff to marinate. But I was out of them today. This is an oven bag. This is a turkey roasting bag. And I just got it because it's big. And these are going to go in my refrigerator. You can see I have the oil down through here. Pretty good. But it's not all the way through. Like, these are still dry. So it still needs a little more settling. And I'm just going to throw them in the fridge just like this until about an hour before dinner. So my pork, I don't even know what time it is, you guys. It's 10:30. Went in about 10 o'clock. So at about 4 o'clock, it'll have its 6 hours in, and I will give it a temperature test. and then I will leave it in till we eat about 6. So till about 5, that pork is going to stay in. At 5 o'clock, I'm going to pull the pork out, set it on the top of my stove, and let it set in that heat and let it begin to cool down a little bit so that I can pull it without, you know, leaving too much of myself in it. And then we're going to throw these in the oven. Now I cook these at a higher temperature. You can do anywhere between 375 to 425, just depends on how much time you've got. My preference is 375 for 45 minutes. I think they get done through the middle a little bit better and they still get the nice crispy outside. So that's my preference. Now, if I forget to throw them in the oven, those little devils are going in there at 425 for 30 minutes and they'll still be okay. I'm going to fry French fries tonight, so I will hook up my big electric skillet for that so that I can cook them in a nice layer. I just got frozen ones. Karen, just the kids. Just the kids. But at our house, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 adults and a kiddo. So that's who will be here for dinner tonight. Oh, I got the thumbs up. I never remember those things. So that's the plan. If I remember, I'll save some pictures for you guys. But honestly, by the time we get there, that's right. Once we get to that end of the day, we're just hustling to get it on the table. All right, I'll write out my pulled pork recipe for you because I don't think I've ever published that one before. The roasted veggies I've done before, and they're pretty simple. And then we're just having, I bought packaged cookies today that were on sale because I knew I probably wouldn't get back in here to do that. So we'll have Caesar salad, we'll have pulled pork. I got some really nice buns from the bakery. I will spend money on the bread. That's the dog hacking. I should probably licking broccoli off the floor. And there we go. And that's what we'll have. My pulled pork with buns if you want them. I don't do a bun. Then we will have our roasted vegetables, our French fries, our Caesar salad. My husband does the dishes, Karen, and that's a huge help. He doesn't clean the kitchen, like he'll deep clean the stove every once in a while, but I come in, you know, and have to clean the kitchen and put everything away, but he runs the dishes, and that's huge when you got a bunch of people on the table every day. There we go again, keeps catching it. All right, guys, I'm gonna get a twisty tie, and I'm gonna twist tie these up, and I'm gonna let that oil kind of seep through them. I'll flip them over 2 or 3 times today, and if Adeline is in the mood, we'll come back and craft a little bit with our paper. If you saw yesterday about the freezer paper, the very beginning of this video, I went through all and show it. You got your tumbler. Oh, yay, you're going to make a barn quilt. I'm thinking about doing some real barn quilts with you guys where we actually draw them out and paint them. Inside, though. Inside barn quilts, not the exterior stuff. All right, we'll do this one, and we'll get a nice heart going through maybe. There we go. Love you guys. I'll see you later. Have a great day.